Right guys, welcome to the 22nd episode of Below the Bar.
In this episode, expect to find out how we would overhaul the education system, why rugby is an underrated sport,
And what would happen if you injected an XL Bully with testosterone?
let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to the second part of our deep dive into the education system.
Yes, so if you didn't watch last week we went through our own experiences with school and the education system. So I would recommend you go and watch that one, but this is kind of related / unrelated. So we're going to now go through the education system as a whole and what we kind of think about it, and then there's a bit of structure around that. But we're going to go through Helmet of the Week first. We won't get into any of the education stuff just yet, but Helmet of the Week first, and then we'll get into it. Do you want to go first?
Helmet of the Week. Yeah, so Helmet of the Week is VAR.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, anyone in the football world will have seen this coming.
Yeah. VAR just been shit this year, really. This season's been a bit shit.
Yeah, so for anyone that lives under a rock, VAR stands for Video Assistant Referee, and it was introduced to try and make officiating in the professional game better.
Well, more fair, I think it was, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
and somehow
It's had the opposite effect.
they've made it fucking worse.
How can you use technology and get less accurate than humans?
But in every other sport it works, and I knew as soon as they introduced it into football, right, they'd managed to cock it up.
What do they have in rugby? It's TMO or something.
Yeah, the television match official, and that's like clockwork, mate.
That's great because you can see what they're fucking doing.
Yeah.
You know when it goes to TMO, you can see half the screen is like them working it out, watching the replay, and all the rest of it. VAR's like a fucking enigma, mate. They just go and they're like, oh, we'll make the decision.
So it works in tennis as well. You know, when they review something, it works there.
They should do that. They should only have like 3 VAR attempts each game.
Well, they do that in cricket as well.
Yeah.
But it works in cricket. You know, and they've got like, I forgot what they call it, but like, you know, when it gets given out or something, and like the fucking camera can track the trajectory of the ball
class.
and can see if it's going to hit the
But
stumps
on things
or
like
not.
that, it's a little bit easier. But you would think things like offside is like that. It's black and white, isn't it? So you take the foot, and then you figure out, is he in front, is he behind?
Well, the example we'll use to demonstrate this point is Luis Diaz's disallowed goal yesterday in the Liverpool versus Spurs game. Because
that ended up losing by 1 goal, which would have been the difference.
That was fucking atrocious
And
officiating.
Eddie, being a Liverpool fan, probably not a great moment for you.
Well, I'm not just butthurt because it's Liverpool, but it's happened multiple times this season. I think
It happened twice. Well, 2 incidents happened yesterday.
Oh, there was 3 really.
Yeah.
So there was Curtis Jones would have been sent off.
True.
That wasn't a straight red.
No, that was mental.
One of Diego Jota's yellow wasn't a yellow.
Yeah.
I forgot who it was. The Spurs player tripped up his own foot.
Yeah, the first yellow wasn't a yellow.
And then the disallowed goal. You don't even need to draw line. You don't even need VAR for that. The linesman should have seen that. It's about a foot onside.
I know. On the highlights, they didn't show loads and loads of replays, but they showed like the initial thing. I was like, that's onside. I saw it once.
It's like the naked eye can see that.
That's mad. And I'm like just watching it on my little phone, and I can fucking see it. That's mad. You know the thing that really gets me for VAR is they're so choosy with how they use it. So they obviously use it for like penalties and goals, offsides, all the rest of it. But when there's like a clear, this happens so much as well. When there's like a corner that goes against a team, or maybe that should be a corner that's now a goal kick because the ref made a bad decision. Why don't you just show that replay? Because they show the replay to everyone else, and so then you can see it obviously should be a corner, and then they don't actually take any action on that and give it as a corner, and they just give the goal kick. But that could be the difference between winning the game and losing the game.
So I use the example of rugby again. The TMO is hot in the ref's ear all the time. If he misses something, they'll fucking call him out on it.
Yeah, and they're not like selective over, that was a penalty. So they use it for everything.
No one's safe.
Yeah.
Like if you do anything, like the TMO can get you for it basically, and vice versa. Like if the ref isn't unsure about something, he'll ask.
A good thing about rugby, I thought as well, is like if they're not 100% sure, they'll just say to the players, "I didn't know, but I thought this, so I made this decision," and the players are like, "Cool." But in football, it seems like they have to be 110% right, so it paralyses them against making actual decisions.
But like you're going about officiating in the wrong way there in my eyes, because a lot of the laws or rules in football aren't black or white.
No.
Like the handball rule is
subjective.
90% grey.
Well, it is, yeah. Because
so the
also,
fact
when you slow it down and play it again and again and again, and you just got one frame to look at, it looks a lot more sinister. 9 times out of 10 than it actually was in fluid motion.
This refereeing in slow motion needs to stop.
It's
as
bollocks,
well.
isn't it?
Watch it in real time.
Yeah.
Because if you slow anything down enough, it looks malicious.
Curtis Jones' red card. It showed one frame of it where his ankle was like bent the wrong way, right, and he stamped on it, and he's thinking red. But if you show it in real time, it's not. It's
not malicious, and it clearly wasn't going to break his ankle.
No.
But like you said, if you freeze frame it on like the point where his ankle is most bent, it looks like it's a leg breaker.
Yeah, of course it does. But there's flex in the ankle, and that happens in real time.
Anyway, VAR is shocking. They seem to be getting worse with it as well. So when it was when it was first introduced, right, when they'd go to an offside decision, the camera would be in line with the last defender. Now they're fucking picking like diagonal angles.
I don't know.
How are you supposed to see?
That's just the one they show people. Is it not that just the one they show the fact? But
why aren't they showing everyone, including the referee, the best possible angle? Why are people seeing different angles?
Yeah, they should just have, because surely there's a shot of that.
It's like you got to pay a premium for a better angle.
Yeah,
like, what's all that?
Pro. There's another case though, isn't there, where normally if the ref goes to the monitor, he's going to change his decision, or you know what I mean? Like,
no, they give it the old. You might want to look at that, and that basically means you've got to reverse your decision, which is bollocks because it takes the power out of the ref's hands.
But that didn't happen like once the other week, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's changing," but then it's fucking back.
Yeah, it's just shit. Basically, the officiating in football has been shit for years, and somehow they've managed to make it progressively worse instead of better.
Neil Warnock will attest to that.
Yeah, Neil Warnock fucking hates Premier League referees nearly as much as I do.
Yeah, and he hates the VAR as well, which is good because that came in like late in his career.
Well, I was all in favour of VAR when he introduced it because I'm a big advocate of like TMO in rugby, and they've just implemented it in the most grotesque and perverse way.
I think having like 4 or 5 like per team abilities to use VAR would be class.
Yeah,
because it'd create a little bit of suspense, scarcity around it. You wouldn't be able to just use it for everything.
Yeah, teams should be able to like claim. I think.
Yeah, because it's always the ref's decision until the team says no. Go to
be fair, because I think that would then mitigate some horrific decisions.
Yeah.
Because the teams now on like in the dugouts are watching everything back, replays and stuff. You know, like the physio and stuff will be watching. Yeah. Like the assistant manager will be watching replays of the match. So if they pick something up, they can appeal to the fourth official and say, like, can we review that?
That'd be class.
Yeah, that would be good. Right. Well, we just solve VAR. Yeah. There you go, FA. Have that for free.
Tag.
You fucking...
Anyway.
Hat.
Moving swiftly on. We will now... Well, yeah, you've got the kind of structure written down, so you want to go through what we're going to cover so people know what's coming.
Yeah, I don't really think we need to do much housekeeping with this because everyone knows what school's like. And if you wanted to know what our schooling was like, then listen to the episode that we did last week.
Yeah.
So I think we can just jump straight into the issues.
Sweet. Cool.
So do you want me to run... Should we do it one by one? I've got a list of 3 main issues with the UK education system.
And then we'll riff on each one of them, I think.
And we can riff on each one of them. And then I've got 2 solutions.
And we'll riff on them. Yeah, that's what we did for the obesity and all the rest of it, so we'll do the same kind of deal. So
I haven't gone silly this time because it probably would have involved me like killing school children, so I thought it's probably for the best if that remains off the internet.
Yeah, especially this week.
Yeah. Right. I was going to make a joke then, but I won't because again that's quite morbid. Too soon. Right, so issue number 1 is the national curriculum. What we actually get taught at school.
Yes, huge issue. I don't know what your other issues are, but I think this is probably fucking...
This is the content of what people consume during their education. So this has got to be a major contributing factor, hasn't it?
Just fundamentally, the fact that it is so prescriptive, like regardless of what's in it. Like it takes all the creative license off the teacher themselves. So if you want teachers to be like passionate about what they're delivering, all the rest of it, you can't just give them a playbook and say, here you go, plug and play. Like you have to, surely they have to teach what they kind of, obviously there's within restrictions and boundaries, etc. But they should be able to teach what they're passionate about, because then they can deliver it in a passionate way rather than you just give them, here you go, teach this.
So the whole idea of the national curriculum, it was like introduced in the 1980s, I think. The idea was then all kids would receive the same standard of education. But like you said, that standard of education over time has eroded, I think, to the point where it's now an exam factory.
Well, yeah, it is. Well, that's you see, it's all linked up though, isn't it? Because it almost has to be an exam factory, because that's how the funding gets given to schools, isn't it? So, you know, they have to be good in the league tables, and so that becomes the only metric for success. Whereas that's not the only metric for success.
But those league tables and like Ofsted, you know, the body that kind of assesses schools, which is shit as well, by the way. That was all introduced not long after the national curriculum. So before that, teachers. A lot of this episode is basically underpinned by what my mom said.
Wait, you give background on what you've
right, okay, so I'll caveat this. If you don't watch last week...
random woman who's worked here.
So my mom spent her entire life being a teacher, and then she ended her career being a head teacher. So she was basically at the centre of the education system from like the early 1980s until about 5 years ago.
It's a pretty good sounding board.
So it's a pretty good sounding board. My dad was the same, but he's just not as political about it. So
Don't give a shit.
Doesn't really give a shit, no. But yeah, so a lot of what I've said is basically verbatim from my mom, effectively.
Which is straight from the horse's mouth.
Straight, exactly. So this is our first kind of unofficial podcast guest. She's not here, but I'm relaying her thoughts and feelings.
Behind the scenes.
So yeah, the national curriculum was introduced by the Conservatives at the tail end of Maggie Thatcher's government. Make of that what you will. And then I'm told, effectively, under Labour, education wasn't so bad because Tony Blair made a massive thing of it, didn't he? He was like, education, education, education was one of their slogans.
Rule of three again, I like Rule of Three.
Yeah, oh mate, marketing on New Labour was fucking on point.
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, you can get behind them for that.
True. Yeah.
They smashed it. But yeah, so, and then since 2010, obviously, we've had continuous Tory governments for 13, coming on 14 years
Including
now.
Michael Gove as the Education Secretary.
Yeah, well, we've not got on to Michael Gove yet, but he doesn't fucking come out very well in all of this, I'll be honest. But yeah, so basically, since 2010, if education was pretty rosy under New Labour, it's gone down the toilet with the Conservatives, because it's been underfunded. We've been pushed more down the exam factory route. Like the marketisation of education as well. So, you know, like academies.
Yes, yeah, true.
You know, a lot of trying to run schools like businesses.
Yeah,
like, it's a fucking school. It's not supposed to make a profit.
Do you know when was this a bit? This is not the curriculum, but you know when like 11 pluses and all that stuff was involved, and you could go to grammar schools and all the rest of it. When was that done away with? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know either.
That was just before we were at school, I think. Because that was in for ages as well. But that was crazy because you had basically a test when you were like 11 that would determine, you know, your entire life, really, your entire life, certainly your educational life. And so,
and as we explained last week,
yeah, when you're 11,
you know, fuck all when you're 11.
Yeah, all everyone gives, all the boys give a fuck about is playing football. So 11 plus is like, yeah, cheers. And the girls don't give a shit either. So it makes no sense.
But obviously,
so that's why it was scrapped.
The idea of an 11 plus is daft, and that's what was originally scrapped. But like what people like Michael Gove love 11 pluses. They want to bring back grammar schools. Like that's their idea of education. You know, like from birth, you're tested, and then if you're perceived to be smart, you push towards academia, and then if you're a dunce, you're just left to the wayside.
How ridiculous! so inclusive.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, we get back to the curriculum. So it's, in my opinion, pretty inept anyway because of what it doesn't cover fundamentally. But I do think a major issue is just alongside, you know, teachers not being funded and pay being terrible and overworked, all the rest of it. That leaves the individual teacher with not much kind of room to inspire, and that's part of their job, isn't it? Part of their job as a teacher. If you think back to any teachers you had that you remember fondly, it's because they were like passionate, inspiring people. That if less and less people like that are in teaching, that trickle down effect happens to the pupils, and then they're left to be brought up being, you know, not giving a fuck about anything.
Yeah, how can teachers be good educators when they're effectively straitjacketed with what they can and can't do?
It's mental.
And it's even worse now as well in the libtard snowflake generation as well, because if they say one thing out of line, or, you know, they deem to have disciplined a pupil inappropriately, then they're cancelled.
It's bollocks.
Which you get, like, no wonder they can't get people to fucking be teachers anymore. So are they giving like 30 grand bursaries to them?
Yeah.
Because no one wants to fucking do it.
Well, yeah. Well, being cancelled as a teacher is fucking crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's certain things they shouldn't be able to do. Shouldn't be able to tell kids to fuck off, whatever. But I mean, no one was doing that. It's like if you misgender a pupil that's like 13 years old because they've decided last night when they watched TikTok that they were wanting to be a girl. It's like that. Literally though.
Yeah,
that literally happens.
Yeah.
And they get reported to the head, and then they get disciplined, which is mad.
We're not on about bringing back the cane.
No.
I'm not archaic, but like you said now, it can be as simple as like using the wrong pronouns with a pupil.
Yeah. And it's like, how can they keep track of... First of all, they've got to keep track of loads of shit anyway. They've got marking and the rest of it. How can you keep track of what the pupil identifies as on a daily basis? They've got how many classes coming through, 30 kids in each. It's like, that's mad.
That's what I mean. It's like, how can you be enthusiastic and how can you get into a flow with your educating if you're in constant fear of being tripped up?
Yeah, because you wouldn't have any... It's like you say, flow. Look, that flow state of when you get into your rhythm and you're delivering the way you want to deliver and all the rest of it. If you're constantly thinking of every word and almost thinking, oh, can I say this, can I say that? You're going to be, like, your hands are almost tied, aren't they?
You'd just be rigid.
Yeah.
You'd be like a proper wooden performance, like a shit actor.
Yeah, you would. And it doesn't help that you've got pretty much like a script from the national curriculum that you have to deliver. Obviously, there should be, there should be a curriculum, but it shouldn't be quite as kind of instructive, I don't think.
Well, this is purely anecdotal now. We're going off a bit of a tangent, but whatever. So, like, because, like you said, the curriculum now is so kind of prescriptive, what happens is, because it doesn't then engage the kind of the interests of teachers, it doesn't give them any scope to teach what they actually want to teach. Yeah. They learn it like you would revise for an exam, but they don't actually know anything about it.
Yeah.
So like, they know what they need to teach, but they don't actually understand the subject, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, they know how to teach someone how to pass the exam they're going to have, whereas they don't actually teach the broader subject matter around it.
So this is pure anecdotal. There's no scientific research back to this. But I went on a date with a history teacher, right? Ages ago, well, a few years ago now.
That was the last date.
And I'm still fresh in the memory. So, and I'm a bit of a history nose, as people probably know.
Yeah.
So naturally, I was tuning her ear about history, and I was asking her what was on the curriculum, and I knew more about the subjects that she was teaching as a secondary school history teacher. Because as soon as you went off piste, so like she knew all the key dates and figures to pass the exam. Yeah. But as soon as you'd actually ask like anything beyond that,
32 markers.
Yeah, it was a blank state, and I'm like, you're supposed to be a passionate history, and I don't blame her because like we said, you're kind of straight-jacketed. Yeah,
and there's no incentive for her to learn any of that. Really.
Exactly, because she's like so swept off her feet with like marking and like making sure that
she got the time,
making sure she's got a good pass rate. Exactly, you're not gonna develop your broader understanding of the subject, are you?
Which would make you a much better teacher and make you be able to engage kids much better. It's just such a big issue because it is like it's cliche, isn't it? You're bringing up the next generation of workers in the workforce, and so if they're not adequately educated, history is a little bit of a rogue one because you don't really need it for most jobs. But things like maths and English and things that are actually applicable to the real world is that should be your teacher should be a subject matter expert in that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like maths is a massive one as well. Whoever came up with the fucking maths curriculum is a fucking helmet in themselves.
Ridiculous, mate.
What we don't use, and this is such a...
This is something you realise in year 8 though. You're like, when am I ever going to use this?
Yeah. If you just have like, I don't know, like small talk with someone about school, right, and maths comes up in the subject, like I guarantee within like the first few sentences, one of you will say to each other, I don't use half the stuff I learnt in maths.
Yeah.
Because it's all bollocks. Pythagoras is fucking dick cheese. Like
algebra's one. Algebra. The only time I've ever used algebra was actually in another exam, so in another test, which was a like employment test. Like the psychometrics.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason I've used. And if it wasn't a thing, then I wouldn't have to use that. So.
Well, we've spoken about this off air, right? So instead of learning about all that shit, which I think we can all agree with is a massive waste of time unless you want to become like a maths academic and then teach other people. A mathematician, yeah, which no one wants to be.
No, not remonetise all that, is it?
No, it's really niche fucking kind of Rain Man activity, that is.
Yeah.
Why aren't we learning about like personal finances and stuff?
So jarring this is, mate. Like,
because we've now discovered this. We're completely inept to, survive function in the world of global capitalism.
Like, there's so much that you don't get, like how to get a mortgage, how they work, how interest rates work, how compound interest works.
Fucking taxes, mate.
How you pay your taxes. Like, it's insane.
Taxes are a myth.
How much you earn when you earn how much you actually earn after tax when you earn a certain amount of money. You don't get any of this. Not even like, obviously you learn how to do percentages, but it's never given in like a practical, actionable sense with like tax rates and compound interest and all the rest of it. That's things you actually don't need to learn, but they're so useful.
Well, you kind of do.
We don't need to know about compound interest, but it's not essential. But
no, like in the same way that by like a certain point in like key stage 2, you're expected to know like so many times tables. Why don't you know tax rates?
Yeah.
So if someone says if you earn 100 grand, how much are you taking home in tax? You should just be able to reel that off.
I still don't know that.
Neither do I.
I typed it into ChatGPT and I couldn't really comprehend the answer, to be honest.
Right, we're gonna get conspiratorial now.
Okay.
I'm convinced that these kind of things are deliberately fucking hidden from us to keep wanky accountants in the job.
Yeah, it's that, and probably keep most people from being wealthy, which is probably the issue they have with, like TikTok and, platforms that provide just straight value to people. People can say...
I like this. This is very Marxist.
Yeah. People can say, if you invest so much in this stock every year, like those clips have gone super viral because no one fucking knows it.
Yeah, and they're empowering people.
Yeah.
And the government don't want that.
Yeah.
They want to keep us suppressed.
Yeah, because we're dangerous.
Fight the chains of oppression. Black power.
Edit that out. Yes, I think it might be deliberate, or it's certainly... Because there is just nothing about personal finance at all, which is insane. Mortgages is the one, because, like, how the fuck do they work?
But, like, education's in such a bad way now. Like, I just don't see how they're going to come out of it without, like, massive wholesale changes. Because, like, we're in such this kind of, like, exam factory rabbit hole now, where, like, everything's quantified, everything, like, leads back to a table or a chart.
Yeah, it's all that measuring stuff, innit?
You can't quantify everything about education. Like, there's,
it's easier if you can, isn't it?
But the hidden curriculum is a massive part of school. Like the stuff that you learn outside the classroom. Soft skills that the Conservatives don't care about because you can't quantify it.
Yeah.
That's now completely neglected.
Yeah,
and I think
that's the most important thing.
I think that's a major contributing factor to why we've now got kind of a younger generation coming through that are so kind of like socially awkward, anxious, mental health issues. Because all that side of school now has been completely underfunded. It's like
that's socialisation, isn't it?
Pastoral care has been undercut.
Yeah.
Like PHSE, you remember that?
Yeah,
like enrichment activities and like citizenship.
Yeah.
They don't spend any time doing that anymore.
Because it doesn't contribute to the end goal for them, which is passing a test.
Yeah. But like that's a major contributing factor to school and like
also,
you
being moulding as a human.
Yeah, exactly. What's the point in going to school if at the end of it you don't come out as a well-rounded citizen? Yeah,
that's literally the idea. It should be a factory that people go into and come out as a well-rounded citizen.
Yeah.
With like half-decent ability in things, the hard skills, and then good communication skills, good understanding of just how things work in the world. And you don't get that, and like unless you take business, I don't know because I didn't take business, but like I don't fucking anything. I had to set up a limited company this week. How the fuck do you do that? No idea. I had to fill out like a form to set up my bank for HSBC. I was fucking like, what's going on here? Texting my accountant like I'm an absolute idiot.
Yeah.
When do you pay your fucking tax if you're self-employed? No idea. Like I had to find this out from my ex-missus mom. It's like she's mental. It's like you just don't know. And how many people are probably going to be self-employed? People who probably aren't as good at the hard skills. Like maybe go apprenticeship route or whatever, and then get their apprenticeship and then set up a plumbing firm or whatever it is. You know.
This is what I don't get about like the current kind of Tory strategy around education, right? Because they want everyone to go into like maths, finance, engineering, you know, like money orientated stuff. But then they're still not teaching them like the basic personal finances.
Yeah, but also like what we actually need for us to function as a society in terms of like plumbers and builders and electricians and all these people that actually fundamentally put things together for us to live the way we live. All those things aren't encouraged half as much as being great at maths or whatever.
No, well, that's
like practical skills.
That's the other problem with the exam factory approach to education, because you massively neglect vocational skills.
Practical things, which are hugely important.
And again,
working with your hands and people who can actually put things together.
This is where I can't really get on board with the current Conservative strategy, because if you're not going to teach the people from your country those skills, you then need to import them from elsewhere.
And then when you kick off, when they get imported from elsewhere, you can't win.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so we're not rearing any of our own kids these skills.
Yeah.
But equally, we're not bringing them from elsewhere, so we just don't have the skills.
Yeah, which is good, because then when you need them, the premium's fucking...
You pick one or the other, or ideally both.
Yeah.
So then you have a surplus of skills.
Yeah, because then it's like supply and demand, isn't it? Because then those skills won't be so expensive to get. Now, if anyone's had any work done on their house, it's fucking loads of money.
Exactly.
Because no one can do it.
If there's loads of people with those skills, they have to then spend a lot of time getting better, because if they're shit, they'll go out of business.
Yeah, which is how capitalist society should work.
Exactly. But if
meritocracy.
If there's none of those skills, then the biggest cowboy in town can charge whatever he wants, because he's got no competition.
And that's what happens, isn't it? Especially to like old women, old kind of nans who don't know anything any better. But I think it's a massive thing. Certainly, they tried, didn't they? When we were going through, I remember there was a big push with, if you're not too good at exams, don't worry too much, because you can go and do a BTEC and that's fine. It's not too, that was a big push, but because if you wanted to go and do A levels, you had to be good at exams, because there would be exams in the A level. So you couldn't really get an A level if you were shit at exams. And that's why I chose to do a BTEC, because I was like, well, I'm not terrible at exams, but retention isn't something that I'm great at. So if I can have something that I can like articulate with outside information, then I'm much better at that.
But like exams are so shit, right? Because if you're just gonna kind of gauge someone's like intelligence on their ability to memorise information, you're gonna let so many good people slip through the net.
Yeah.
Because not only are there more ways to fucking kind of assess someone's competency with a subject, but
there are much better ways.
There are also many much better ways.
Well, it's like everyone's had it, right? It's not a good representation of where you're actually at in that subject, because everyone's had this. You'll finish an exam and then you'll go, oh fuck, I should have put this, I should have put that, and that's not that you're any smarter half an hour later. It's just that you've remembered it.
Yeah.
It's like, how's that work? It's a memory test more than it is a actual competency test.
Do you remember this kind of narrative that like the posh kids, sorry, but yeah, actually like the posh kind of like smart kids would peddle at school? When I'd always make the argument for coursework being the best way to measure someone's understanding of a subject.
Yeah, it's much more comprehensive.
Yeah, and they'd always kind of bat something back to you along the lines of, oh well, that's easy, because like if you just put the work in, you'll get a good grade. Right, that's how it's supposed to work. That's meritocracy, you hat.
Yeah, because they just like the fact that they can show up and be good to go. 90 minutes, they're done.
You know, coursework's easy. You just got to do it. Yeah, that's like everything.
You got to do it.
Yeah, that's like everything in life. You've got to do it.
Yeah.
It's not like an exam where like you could know the most about that subject in your class, but if you get a question that like I don't know, you kind of misinterpret in a second, or you know, like, because I've done that before. You know, when you answer an exam question, because you're in such a rush to start, you don't read it properly, and you like halfway through and you glance back, you're like, fucking hell.
Yeah, and then you wasted another half an hour.
Yeah, like you misplaced a comma or something, so it reads completely differently.
Yeah, which again, because it's time pressure, it happens. But if you've got like 3 months, what it does as well with coursework, which exams don't do, is encourages good time management. Because if you've got 3 months to write a certain amount of work, you have to manage that. And you have to manage the work. Go, okay, cool, I'm going to do the first bit in 2 weeks, whatever. If you do the same for an exam, it doesn't matter. You can just show up on the day and do it.
But again, these are life skills. This is part of the hidden curriculum, isn't it? Like time management, course that teaches you that.
Time management and productivity, again, skills though. They are skills that you don't get taught in. That's why. So that is why now that on sort of YouTube and platforms like that, they have such a big watch rate. You know, productivity videos, self-development videos, all these things, because no one fucking knows these things innately and from school. So you have to get taught them by, you know, Alex or Mosey or something down the line.
Have you got anything else you want to say about the national curriculum? We've gone a bit of a tangent there. Not a tangent.
Are we going to talk about health?
We've thrown a lot of shit at the wall there. Well, we can talk about it now, or we can talk about it in the solutions section.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go next.
Yeah, right, okay. So, right, the second major bone of contention I have, again, we're going to go down the Marxist route, private schooling.
Okay.
This is a massive issue in the UK.
And you talk to me.
Because ultimately we never had a violent revolution. So all of these archaic fucking boarding schools that have been around since like 1500 still fucking stand today.
Yeah,
So I'll reel off some facts for you, right? Okay. So 31% of Oxbridge students are privately educated.
Well, yeah.
Right. About 30% of our current sitting MPs attended private school. But on a whole, right, only 7% of pupils actually attend private schools in the UK.
Okay. So that's disproportionate.
Disproportionately represented in top jobs is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I would imagine so.
So 20 of Britain's 57 prime ministers went to Eton. That's not just private schools. That's the private. That's just one of the most fucking elitist private schools.
It's pretty much the most elite private school there is.
So Rishi Sunak, our current PM, he's a cunt, went to Winchester, which is probably Eton's main competitor.
Okay.
Right. You can expect annual fees of up to £45,000 if you attend Windsor.
That's mental.
Not Winchester, sorry.
That is ridiculous. That's a full working wage for...
Well, it's more than most people's fucking annual salary, that is.
Send your kids to school. Bizarre. Well, there's arguments on kind of both sides, I guess. Are they private institutions? Are they businesses? Are they government run?
No, they're private.
Okay, interesting.
So I think they can teach their own curriculum. I don't know how it works.
Maybe. Yeah, they definitely do different things anyway. And you will get much more opportunity as a student of one of them. But obviously you pay the premium. So
like if you went to a state-funded comprehensive, I don't think, and unless you've read into it, I don't think you can quite comprehend like the level of opportunity afforded to kids that go to private school. So we'll use Eton as an example and their sports facilities, right?
Oh, this is insane.
Right, so Eton is it's near Windsor, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in London.
Yeah, and like you can assume that the annual fees are about 50 grand a year or something.
They're about 100, ain't they?
Right, okay. So if you send your kids to Eton, these are the sporting opportunities that they can expect to be afforded, right? So Eton has 40 football and rugby pitches, a 2-kilometre rowing lake, right? 19 cricket pitches, 50 tennis courts, and 4 floodlit artificial surfaces.
That's class, you know. Imagine that.
I couldn't even name 40 football pitches near us. You know, if I put all the local parks together.
Also, right, this is a curveball from that information. How many professional footballers have come from Eton?
None.
Exactly.
Because it's traditionally a working class sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
So all right, if you think of the cream of like English football, they all grew up in working class
inner city Manchester or something.
In working class inner city upbringing.
Phil Foden, generational talent.
Playing football with a fucking tangerine on a street corner.
Yeah.
Jumpers for goalposts.
Exactly.
They're not attending Eton.
Fucking...
So why have all the fucking wet lip toffs in Windsor got 40 football pitches at their disposal?
I imagine like cricket and rugby, there's probably some, isn't there? I guess because they're a bit more posh.
Rugby, like, is a lot more privately educated, but it is, again, like it's more working class professional players are starting to drip feed through now, but it is still predominantly
traditionally. I think it is, but that is just crazy. Imagine that is like, so you've got like a David Lloyd on steroids as part of your school.
So I haven't listed it here, but I was reading an article yesterday, and I think across Eton there are 80 football and rugby teams.
Wow.
80.
So like,
how many did we have at school in our year? One.
1 per year.
And if you weren't good enough to make the first team,
Yeah.
you didn't make any team, basically. You can assume, with that many teams,
Everyone's in.
basically everyone's in some form of team.
That's bollocks, isn't it?
So
they must run their own, like, inside school, like, leagues.
Yeah, they do, because it's like, well, you don't... Well, so, like, at university, Wednesday afternoons are for sports.
Yeah, same with commando unit. That's
Yeah,
funny.
so that's a public school thing.
Oh, is it?
So, like, on Wednesday is, like, inter-house games and shit.
Sports maker men's, you call it in the court.
Yeah, it's a public school thing.
That's
So, like they will just play each other if they can't find any other schools to play
the best
against.
thing about the job, that is. Wednesday afternoon, any good unit anyway, when you're not too busy, you'll just cut away and play football or whatever for the afternoon. It's sick.
Yeah.
So good. And then you'll go and get pissed. But it's probably the same in a public school. But yeah, it creates a certain type of individual as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, who more often than not end up at the fucking top of our society telling us how we should live our lives.
Yeah, when they're not really spent a day in a normal person's shoes.
Yeah, Boris Johnson being the prime example of that.
Well, if your education, right, costs about 3 times the average living wage, then per year, by the way, then you're probably a little bit out of touch, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, the main thing that private school education kind of implements into pupils that attend private school is self-confidence, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Because from whenever you attend private school, you're basically taught to back yourself.
Yeah, but that's huge in every job.
Exactly. Because this is why the politicians that we all fucking loathe and resent can walk into a room not knowing anything about the subject matter and just fucking lie through their teeth and go off about it for an hour.
Yeah, well...
Because inherently, they have just got such fucking inbuilt self-belief.
They also, because they have, from what I've been exposed to anyway, because they have better funding and a little bit more control over their curriculum, they do emphasise the soft skills a little bit more. So, like, communication, the debating societies, all the rest of it, like standing up in front of people and talking, that's never encouraged in our
oracy. School. We don't... Yeah. When you do any public speaking at Summerhill...
Unless you're pinged as the person who has to read Not of Mice and Men, which is, I'm like that stuttering because I fucking hated it.
So I can think of 2 examples where we were kind of explicitly encouraged to speak publicly.
In drama as well. That was shit.
3. Right, okay. So we got drama, which you stopped doing in year 8, because then you pick your options, don't you?
Yeah, no one chooses drama.
Yeah, no one chooses drama. In English, like you said, when you're selected to read an excerpt from a book...
Which isn't really public speaking.
No, because you're just reciting...
Because you're like this.
You're reciting text. There's no engagement there, is it? It's just
you're not going to engage a crowd.
It's monotone.
All you're doing is learning how to read out loud. That's what you're doing there.
The 3rd example I can think of was the short-lived debate society, which basically... Short-lived. And by short-lived I mean about 4 lunchtimes, because it got banned at the end of the week, because it basically just turned into kind of an insult match, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because we'd be given a topic, and then people would kind of riff off that topic for about a minute, and then it would just turn into kind of a back and forth tennis match of like, your mum's this, your dad does that.
It's mad, isn't it, though, because as soon as you get to uni, you do have to present your ideas.
Well, yeah, exactly. So that's why the kids that have been privately educated then excel and go on to bigger things, and the kids that went to state school either step up or go back into their shells.
Yeah, because I didn't go to uni, and so when you get in the Marines, you at some point have to give... The most school-like example is an interest lecture where you're given a topic and you have to run through it in front of the troop. But I was like, you have to do what? Because I had never done that. I'd never even put together a presentation. So I'm doing this like thing off the template they've given me, and it's all fucking new to me. I had to give... I think I mentioned this. I gave one on paedophile hunters, my first one. So these people that go around and confront...
People like
weird
me.
Old men like Eddie that have been messaging the fake account that this person's made. Anyway, I was fascinated by these people and delivered a shit lecture on them. But I was like terrible at it because I'd never ever done it, and the only way to get better at it is by doing more of it, and it's petrifying.
Well, it was exactly the same at uni, because we'd get given kind of like assessed work that you'd have to present orally
and the presentation is part of the mark.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sorry. What?
Yeah.
I have to do what? Because obviously, like, you do a bit of it at school. So like, you'll do presentations in groups, but you're kind of just playing lip service to it, aren't you?
Well, yes, we do.
You'll do it in groups, right? Which is kind of a bit cop out in itself.
Yeah. Because you get one bloke to do all
Because
the fucking work.
because you just nominate one person to do it, and all of you would just hide behind the paper and giggle, wouldn't you?
That's so true. That should be stamped the fuck out though, because it's hard to get through to kids. That's an important thing though, isn't it? That is difficult.
Yeah, because like we were saying last week, like
We were idiots.
At that age, you're an idiot, and you just want to do everything you can to fit in.
And that's not fitting.
So if you have to stand up in front of a large group of people and speak,
present.
that's literally the opposite of what you want to be doing.
Yeah, but you have to kind of, because if you did that well, you'd give given ultimate status.
Well, that's the thing though, isn't it? It's like private
So you
school,
need to get that across
but
to
because
kids.
privately educated kids do it basically from birth.
Yeah.
It's just normal to them.
Well, they have prep school and then,
Because it's like everything in life, it's like a learnt skill. So like the sooner you learn to do it, the more natural it feels.
it was polled as like the number one thing people are scared of, ahead of death. Public speaking.
I hate public speaking.
I'm much better at it now because of what I've done as a job. And I think speaking in front of the camera helps, ish.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not the same, but
I'm getting better at it. I fucking talking in front of the camera's still a bit weird. I don't mind talking in front of groups if I'm doing something. Like if I'm demonstrating something, I can move my hands. As long as there's some kind of something kinetic going on, I'm fine. It's like, when you're like stuck to like a podium and you can't move about, because that's when I get nervous and fidgety. Like if I need like something cathartic to.
Yeah, I always get shouted at because we would do presentations. I'd be on PowerPoint, and obviously it's spacebar to get the next slide. And my coping mechanism would be to like smash the fuck out of my spacebar. I'd be like that. And my corporal was like, "Good presentation, but fucking you've got like a weird tick where you beat the shit out of your computer." I was like, "Yeah, I know, it's weird." It's because I just got super nervous. But yeah, you're right. It's something that we're never taught, and it's so important. And I think that is a big disconnect between comp schools and private schools and they have such a leg up in life because of that.
And there's obviously the old adage of like, it's who you know, not what you know.
Oh, that's a network, isn't it?
Yeah. So like once you're in that system and like you know people, then you've got another massive advantage as well.
But what I will say is it's a bit fucking AIDS as well. Like from being exposed to this, the moms are just like playing their kids against each other. It's literally like sex education. Like it's 100% accurate. Like the moms are in little groups where they don't really like each other. They're just there because they're the moms, right? And they go to these coffee mornings or whatever, and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, so and so, my kid's doing this, and this," and they're just like playing against like fucking.
Like you're using your kid like a pawn.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a game of chess. They're your child. It goes back to what we were saying. Like you want them to leave education at whatever age it is that they leave a well-rounded citizen.
Yeah.
You don't want to inflict a load of trauma on them because you wanted them.
That's what happens because so what inherently happens is the parents paid loads for the education. So typically the parents worked really hard to get that money, paid a shitload of money for their child to be educated. So when inevitably they go through the teenage years where they don't give a shit about education, like every teenager goes through, more pressure goes on the kid. More. You have to do more work, do more extracurricular stuff. And eventually it just becomes too much for the kid. They either rebel or they, like you say, there's some like low level trauma going on.
This reminds me of what I was listening to James Haskell podcast the other day. It reminds me of what he was saying because he was privately educated, right? And when he left school, he wanted to do one of three things, right? So he either wanted to be a JCB driver. His dad said he couldn't do that because, like you said, he'd paid too much for his education to do that. He either wanted to be in the SAS. Mom said he couldn't do that because they hadn't paid for that education for him to be killed, right? Or he wanted to be a pro rugby player, so that's why he ended up being a pro rugby player.
Mad.
But there's like it's just an example of like what you were saying. Like
no, it is. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like because they've paid for the
education.
Because they've paid for the education, they feel like they can choose what their kid ends up doing, even though
the wrong way around, isn't it?
Yeah, ultimately, it's like you've paid for your kid to have all these tremendous opportunities. Let them pursue it in whichever way they want.
Yeah, it's a major thing, and that does, I think, manifest a little bit when you see, certainly when you see people going off for like gap years and travelling and stuff. When it's normally upper class people, right, who go and do that. Certainly middle to upper class, if they've been privately educated, they'll go and do it for years because they've been pushed through this like, carbon copy like system for 18, 20 years, and now they're gonna. Well, I'm gonna go and.
Yeah, you just rebel, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
You want what you can't have.
Yeah, always.
So it's like a pressure valve, isn't it? Like it builds up, and then eventually it will just pop, and you go mental. You grow dreadlocks, You get railed in Australia for a few years. You have a nervous breakdown. You come back. You live with mum and dad.
You know a few girls like
that. Yeah, I'm waiting for him to come home. Crawling back.
It's my soft cock.
Oh, you had to go there. Lowering the tone again.
Anyway, so bring it back. Number 3.
Gen Z kids, number 3.
Okay. Yeah. Is it their fault or?
Well, this is what we need to discuss, isn't it?
No. So what? Go on. What's the thought
so
process?
Gen Z, for anyone who doesn't know, is I think kids that were born after kind of like. Is it? Are we included in Gen Z? I think we are.
We're not. Yeah, we're not.
It's kind of mid to late 90s onwards. Gen Z.
Yeah, I think 95 probably onwards, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like the tech generation, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah,
The
basically.
social
So
media generation.
I think we're wrongly grouped with Gen Z because we just about escaped.
We missed the bug a little bit, didn't we? It was like just like we were talking about last week. Just about year 10, year 9 was like social media.
And that was perfect because we at that age you just about know better.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of know what you're getting into
also,
at least.
They were introduced Instagram and all the rest of it. It wasn't like it is now.
No, so we basically
TikTok wasn't a thing.
We got like soft launch.
Tinder wasn't a thing.
We got soft launched into social media, didn't we?
Yeah, which is much better. Like now, if you think so, it's 2023 now. If you were, if you're 16, you could have been probably 10, and then like TikTok, Tinder, all these sort of random shit that's coming out is there for you to pick up whenever you get there. So like I know. When I go for a run in the morning at school time, I'll see kids who are year 7, year 8 going to school. They've got iPhone 15, like fucking scrolling through TikTok or whatever. It's like that is so bad, really. If you think about from a development point of view, like we were on about our phones last time. Like year 10 probably had like a Nokia, BlackBerry or whatever.
Yeah, so like we had like a kind of like an analog childhood,
yeah,
and then like in early teenage years, a device was placed in front of us.
But it wasn't like it is. Like you have now, like a computer on your phone. Like you can access anything at the age of 12. That's not ROI positive.
That's what I'm trying to say. So kids nowadays have just been from birth had a screen in front of them. Mm-hmm. So like they can't see the wood for the trees because it's just all they've known.
Yeah.
They never knew the before time, basically.
And I can't really remember what it's like not to have social media or because it's been so from 16 it's 10 years now, really, isn't it? It's like
so this is a bit off topic. Like the concept of play is crucial when you're a kid. Like playing, like interacting with other kids your age, playing with stuff, like exploring adventures and that.
Yeah.
Do kids not do that now? Are they just like playing for Angry Birds on a screen?
I've seen a lot of cases where like a kid will kick off and then mum will just like thrust an iPad in front of them or something.
But like that's a massive part of like your socialisation as a kid, like being able to play and interact with other kids.
2 to 4, or something like that. Those ages are so instrumental. If you're not interacting with other kids. And
problem solving with like fucking bricks and stuff, you know what I mean? Like doing all those shit puzzles that you do as a kid.
That has such a trickle up effect if you like to when you're older and you have little social anxiety, weird things or whatever.
Sensory stuff. I'm not a baby expert, by the way. This is just fucking very rudimentary knowledge. Sensory stuff as well. You're supposed to give kids like a lot of different textures and stuff with their toys, like soft, so they get used to it. So they get exposure to different like feelings and stuff.
Yeah,
and you're supposed to stimulate them in different ways.
Yeah.
Like
if they're just consistently getting a glass screen,
that's fucking bollocks, isn't it?
That's obviously one bit of tech. That's no good, is it? Well, we're only going to see the outcome of this in probably a couple of years' time when that generation that's really just being born kind of thing. Like maybe if they're like 5 now,
mad.
Their entire life is going to be
it's kind of becoming
AI and all this sort of shit.
It's still kind of becoming apparent with like people that are entering early adulthood now.
No, that's what I mean. So imagine
it's going to be more...
those 5-year-olds now that are 18. Imagine that.
Yeah, it's just going to be even more pronounced, isn't it?
So
can we blame them?
No, it's not their fault.
Or are they just a symptom of modern society?
Well, like you haven't watched Social Dilemma, but anyone who has on Netflix, it's basically the idea that the social networks are all, and you'll know this, are all engineered to just create the perfect environment so that humans don't leave that platform. So it's like instant gratification. It's like a slot machine, the way it works, and you're getting notifications to say, oh, Eddie tagged you in a photo, so yeah, and you go back to Facebook and all the rest of it. So everything on that app is designed so a human psyche stays on that app. And unless you're cognizant of that, you're not going to be able to get around that. I'm aware of it, and even I fall into the TikTok trap, and I'm like,
well, yeah, because they're so addictive.
Yeah, but if you're year 7 and you haven't got any, you're not really thinking, well, I'm wasting time here because you don't give a fuck. You're just going to spend hours and hours and hours on that.
Yeah, so if you link this back to education, like you said, these social media platforms encourage instant gratification, don't they, to keep you on the app?
Yeah.
That's kind of the antithesis of meritocracy, isn't it? The idea that if you work at your education, you'll get good grades.
In 5 years.
In 5 years.
No one gives a fuck about
that. If you've grown up with TikTok...
and every ad's like, 6-pack in 2 weeks. It's like, that is... All it peddles is the notion that you can have something that's super valuable, i.e. the 6-pack, in 0 time, i.e. 2 weeks, with 0 effort. So that if you play that out to everything else, you have someone who thinks they can get valuable things with no effort immediately, which isn't the way the world works.
Well, this is the Andrew Tate Lambo example, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the kids now turning around to teachers saying, what's the point in me doing English? Is it going to get me a Lambo, miss?
Or like, what's the colour of your Bugatti?
Yeah, what's the colour of your fucking Bugatti Veyron? Like, it's mental, isn't it? It's
like that mindset is only going to manifest down the line ultimately in poor mental health or in depression, because you now have an expectation of the world
that's not true
to give you valuable things that you want with 0 effort immediately, which isn't ever going to happen. That exchange is never going to happen. And so if your expectation is outside of the realms of possibility, you're always going to be coming disappointed, which is a recipe for unhappiness and unfulfillment, unfortunately.
It's quite bleak, isn't it?
It is, but it's just true though, isn't it? Oh, it's not all bad.
I feel quite morbid.
It's not all bad though. So social media, I will say, is horrendous for all the things we've just said. However, caveat to this is it's also a time in the human's timeline where people have the most opportunity ever to have a freeing and fulfilling career. Like that's the like golden goose of social media. But you've got to harness it in the right way, and you can't let it take over.
You do have a wealth of knowledge at your disposal. You have an infinite amount of information. It's how you utilise it and use it.
And what you expose yourself to. We spoke about a lot in the past of kind of echo chambers and the rest of it. Obviously, you feed the algorithm what you're interested in. It feeds you back more of that stuff. So if you're always, exposing yourself to negative things, then all you see is negative things. And that is no good for your mental health, whereas the opposite's true as well. If you always think about self-development and working out and fucking, building your finances, educating yourself, or if all these things are what you consume, then all you get more of that is that. So it's a positive feedback loop. But it works both ways. So you do need to be cerebral around it and thinking, is the time I'm spending on social media on purpose, or am I just like being dragged down the rabbit hole by the algorithm?
Yeah.
But it's a weird one because it's so negative in so many ways, but so positive in some certain way. I wouldn't be able to do what I do. I deep this so much. It's mental.
You're a full-time Walt now, thanks to social media.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Like, no one even knows how much of a sack I am.
It's weird because, like, if you think about it, like 20 years ago, if you wanted to do what you do now, you would have had to just gobbed off in the pub to locals about all like the time you spent in SF and that. But now, because of the internet, like you can just reach out to strangers on the internet and do it.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's mental. I deep that quite a lot though. The fact that 5 years ago, maybe 6, there's no way I could be doing what I'm doing, which is just mental.
Yeah.
Like. So I always think about where's it going to be in 6 years, because it's so fast.
You'll probably be able to tell aliens that you did tours of Afghan.
Yeah, hopefully. Fast. Me and Farrah Morgan cracking on.
I wonder if you get storming on Mars as well.
I mentioned they need storming everywhere. Mate, imperative job. Keep working.
Right, so we need some solutions to the education conundrum.
Okay, sweet.
The lowest hanging fruit probably is to fuck the Tories off.
That's pretty long.
Realistically, before we get into like the nuts and bolts of it, the lowest hanging fruit is
Let's
to
do a little switcheroo.
fuck the Tories off, get a government that actually funds education properly.
Yeah, we're gonna get that probably.
And then everything else will come after that.
Yeah.
If you can't get your funding, you're not going to do anything, are you?
No, we're gonna get that. I think anyway. That's gonna come. So
Yeah. So realistically, we need skills, not exams, don't we? I think that's kind of the crux of what we're saying.
Yeah.
We need to give people kind of
Tools
they can actually then use in later life, as opposed to certificates with numbers and letters on them.
Meaningless. Absolutely meaningless. No one gives a fuck. The job I worked in, well, both jobs I've actually worked in that have been not my own, have been pretty much not give a fuck about what I got in my exams.
This is funny. Right, I hadn't thought of this before. So what I now do, like the barrier to entry for it, like theoretically is like a 2-week course. I did a proper level 3 course, right? To get to that point, I did GCSEs, 2 years of A-level, 3 years of uni undergrad, and a master's degree.
That's fantastic.
And I've ended up doing something theoretically that you don't actually need to be qualified for.
That's class. I didn't know that. Well, this is exactly the same. So, educationally, from what I've done for 7 years of my working life, requires an 8-week PT course. That's it.
Yeah, same.
Like, that's it. Like,
that's mental. You spent 5 years learning how to be a professional soldier.
Yeah. And then another couple of years, a couple of months learning how to be a coach. But neither of those things required formal educational qualifications. Mental.
That's
and
weird.
you spend your entire youth trying to get them.
So just to completely undermine like fucking exams and certificates even more, once we left school, they changed GCSE grades, didn't they?
To like numbers, didn't they?
So like now, when I talk to someone younger than me about what they got in their GCSEs, I don't know what they fucking got anyway, because they give me numbers instead of letters.
And that'll be exacerbated the older you in that situation is. So if you are going to an employer and you're like, yeah, I got a 3, and it's like, what?
What the fuck's a 3? Have you got an A or not?
Yeah.
You fucking thick cunt.
You'd be a good interviewer.
Yeah, like that bloke on TikTok.
Yeah.
These are things you want to do to impress employers.
He's fucking
jarring. Get your
he?
chopper out on the desk.
Yeah, he's so jarring. He's fucking mental. He shouts at the camera, mate.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? That'll go down well in an interview. You got various personality defects.
Yeah.
And you can't control the tone of your voice.
That'd be good in a library.
Yeah, so this skills not exam idea, right? Can we fucking wheedle national service into this somewhere, surely? Because we spoke about this, didn't we?
We were talking about soft skills and just the ability to, like, yeah, we spoke about it ages ago, I can't remember when, but it was like thinking about discipline, time management, punctuality, all the skills that are fundamental traits that we were talking about the other week, things that are important in a workplace to actually hold down a job. And obviously the skill set of the job is outside of that, but it should be, school should serve as like a foundation, effectively, like just a sort of, yeah, like a foundation to then build off when you want to go and do specific courses. So you should have a really good employable person who is respectful, who is punctual, who is disciplined, self-motivated, all the rest of it. If they are all of those things and you've instilled all those things into this person, when you then go and try and teach them how to be, if you say, what are you interested in, and they go, fucking tech, and then you go, okay, cool, you've got all of these traits, we're going to now educate you in how to be a genius at this fucking thing, then they're a hoofing employee.
Yeah, that's the crux of it, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because like, it doesn't matter if you go to a job interview, it doesn't matter if you fucking know what trigonometry is.
Yeah.
Are you a psychopath?
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically what your employer
They really care about two things, don't they? They care about, can you do the job, so the skill that we're thinking about here, so whatever job it may be, and are you able to like be a functioning member of a team or society effectively? So, you know, can you work well with others? Can you fucking be a part of a well-working team? Can you kind of motivate other people? Can you bring good energy to work? All these kinds of things that aren't learned in an exam hall. None of them are assessed in an exam hall. And the other bit they care about is, can you do the specific job we think you're applying for? And again, 90% of the things you do in an exam aren't going to work towards that.
If you think about what you leave school with, and what you need for the job market, it's like trying to fit a fucking circle into a square hole.
Yeah, literally.
It's just a mismatch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of completely mismatched. It's the thing is, I guess the idea behind it, isn't it, is that you get that and that's your base. They've gone the other way, really, like the base of intelligence, and then you would have the ability to then go and learn other things because you have this kind of initial aptitude that you've got going on. I think that's probably the idea, because then you're supposed to specialise in college and then into uni, aren't you?
I don't like that, to be honest. I think it's the opposite way around. We shouldn't be focusing the education system around exams. It should be around people skills.
Well, I also think as well, there's too much of a focus on making people like all-rounders. So Jimmy, this is straight from Jimmy Carr, to be honest, but you know, if the world doesn't need more people who are shit at physics. So if you're shit at physics, right, and you've got a D, school says, right, well, let's bring you up to a C in physics. The world doesn't need people who have got C's in physics, mate. If you're, again, a D in physics, but you're an A in English, let's fucking nurture that A in English, mate, and make you hoofing at one thing. Because if you've got something that you're passionate about and you're kind of naturally predisposed to be good at, then let's fucking do that. You don't need to be good at this other shit that no one gives a fuck if you're average at everything else.
But we're the perfect example of that. Because we hated maths.
Yeah.
We took it a year early in year 10, foundation paper, got a C, got our pass, did statistics the following year, way better at statistics. I got an A.
I think
and I'm all the better for it.
Yeah.
And the stuff I learned in statistics, I actually use now.
Yeah.
So imagine if we hadn't taken it early and we'd just done another year of maths. And
to get maybe a B or scrape.
Or a high C.
Yeah.
As opposed to just a C.
Which they would encourage you to do.
But the thing is, like, a high C to us makes no fucking difference. But to their shit league table, probably a few extra points, isn't it?
That's the fundamental problem in it. But it's such a weird thing where we just think, oh, okay, everyone needs to be good or mediocre at everything. Like, no, you don't need people who are mediocre at everything.
Especially some of the arbitrary things that you learn as well. Like you said, the physics example.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like personal finances. We'll use this example again.
Yeah.
Like, if you come out...
You need a base understanding of that.
You do need a base understanding
But you don't even get that.
But you don't even get that. So like, if you were taught that and you came out with a base understanding of it, that's good.
That's enough, yeah.
If you come out with a really kind of base understanding of physics and you hate physics, you're never going to use that again in your life.
It's mental. But if you've wasted, because again, if you're bad at it, you're going to spend a disproportionate amount of time trying to be better at it, right? So, again, the example of if you're predisposed naturally to be good at and enjoy English, you've then spent less time doing English that you actually enjoy and are good at. So you've come out less good at the thing you're really good at and enjoy, and a little bit better at the thing that you're shit at. How's that fucking positive?
Fuck it. Oh, you know what I've just done a lot. So we talk about phys now. So I'll use the example of swimming here. So if you watched last week's episode, you know that I hate swimming. Why didn't they let me fuck swimming off and just let me loose in the gym?
Yeah.
Remember the gym that we had in the sports hall?
Yeah.
That mad like fucking multi-gym thing. I just unlocked a memory.
Yeah.
Forgot we had that.
We used it once.
We used it for like 4 sessions in year 11 or something.
Yeah, probably.
Why don't they introduce you to that younger? I would have been in my element.
I'll tell you why. Because Mr. Wezzy
was a fucking weed, wasn't he? Yeah. Fucking...
You probably got injured, mate. You'd be like, yeah, you fucking that pull down, that's wrong. But, yeah, I don't know.
PE's another good example, isn't it? Because like we did,
you do fucking loads of shit.
Like when we did movement in year 8, which is dance for anyone that's not in the know, because you'd be fucking forgiven for not knowing what movement was, because they rebadged dance effectively, didn't they?
To get the lads a bit more invested, which didn't work.
And we basically had to choreograph a dance routine to a football song in the style of like a goal celebration, didn't we? To make it as
hybrid. Again, trying to appeal to everyone, like you can't.
To make it as lad friendly as possible.
Yeah.
Just right. So if you're any aspiring PE teachers out there who want to take on the national curriculum, what you should do to lads, right, who are in year 7, give them a football.
Yeah.
Every PE session up until year 11, and then they'll be happy. Just leave them to it.
Yeah. Well, what you do is you would have like a subset of sports that normally kids like, boys like. You would go, okay, half you're going to play football, half you're going to play rugby. At the end of it, come back to me. What did you enjoy? If you enjoyed it, keep doing that. If you didn't enjoy it, we'll try you on rugby tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like, so easy, innit?
And then you leave.
And then you might have fucking a half decent national team.
Yeah, and then let the learning sport teacher have a group of like weedy kids and they can do racket sport.
Yeah. Or cricket.
Okay. Is that not a racket sport? There's a bat, isn't it, technically?
Technically, yeah.
Technically,
They can do public school sports.
In Scotland, technically, it's a homosexual martial art. Cricket. That's just Frankie Ball.
Yeah, I recognise that. That's great.
Anyway. So PE is another example where you spend a lot of time doing shit that you're never going to use and you don't enjoy. When you could actually be getting kids excited about moving. You know, because kids are incredibly sedentary nowadays. Yeah. Why don't you let them do the type of exercise they actually enjoy doing?
Also, a big bugbear with physical education is the lack of basic nutritional understanding anyone has. The lack of basic movement understanding that anyone has. So, like, we see people day in, day out in JD gym not able to do an air squat, not able to do a deadlift, not able to do basic hip hinge, squat, lunge movements. How can they not? How can they be that inept at just human movement? You're human.
But with the nutrition,
mental.
The nutrition thing comes back to biology, doesn't it? So like you spend a load of time in biology learning about like photosynthesis, which is
how plants fucking
which is
things.
Next to useless to everyone apart from fucking Bill Oddie.
Yeah,
right.
They don't learn how we absorb things. That's good. Isn't
That's me. Right. So who sat down and thought, right? So we need to teach kids how plants absorb light. But what we don't need to do is teach them how to fucking make better food choices.
Yeah, what we don't need to do to an ever-growing obesity problem is teach them how to lose fat. We don't need to do that. Because the thing is, right, and James Smith is a testament to this, it's fucking so simple. Like, basic nutrition is really, really simple. And you'll be obviously testament to this, but like it's energy in, energy out, right? And that's
it.
That's energy balance. You don't learn energy balance.
You don't even learn that.
James Smith,
we've just explained it in 5 seconds.
James Smith wouldn't have a fucking career if that was in national curriculum because it's so stupidly simple. The reason people can be misinformed now by people on the internet is because there was never someone at like year 9 which went, guys, this is how it works. Anyone tells you any different, they're chatting shit. Because no one got taught that as a kid. Now someone can go, oh, it's actually your insulin that plays with your hormones and that makes you store fat here and here and here. And people can go, oh, fuck, really? No, not really.
Yeah.
But like,
so what? Yeah, because no one in year 8 told me that if I consume more energy than I burn, I'll put on weight.
Fundamentally, that is it. And that's, James Smith's made an entire 6-year career out of that.
Yeah.
And that's mental.
And I intend to do the same.
Yeah. Well, this is it. Like, you wouldn't need to. And the same with movement in the gym. Why do we need a PT to stand next to you and go, this is how you squat? That should be done at fucking year 6, 7, 8. That's a basic movement. How do you get off the toilet? It's mental, mate.
You know, this is a bit random. You know that Phil Campion bloke?
Yeah.
Like the ex-SF bloke? He's lost loads of weight recently. He's on a bit of a health kick. And I was listening to him being interviewed. You know the reason why he decided he needed to lose a load of weight? Because he couldn't wipe his arse anymore. It's that simple, isn't it? Yeah. Like, he was struggling to fucking squat down on the shitter. And when it came to wiping his arse, he couldn't.
That's mad. It's fucking mental. It's like
it's so basic. Yeah. Like,
do the basics well, as we said last week.
Never get to the point where you can't wipe your arse. Because fundamentally, that is an issue.
Yeah, you don't want to be getting anyone to help you wipe your arse.
And you don't want to be walking around with a shitty arse either.
Yeah, so both of those situations aren't great, are they?
No.
But yeah, I think we'll brush over the phys thing a little bit, but like just learning basic nutrition and how to move and how to maybe basically improve fitness and stuff should be just a fundamental piece, because you spend that time learning movement or whatever we would fucking do.
Yeah, movement. What else do we do?
Loads of shit.
Loads of shit.
Rounders and that.
Yeah, like rounders as well. But then you'd like good sports that like we probably should spend more time doing, like basketball. You don't do any.
Well, I look at the same. We had like 4-week blocks, didn't we, of every sport? Whereas like every sport doesn't warrant a 4-week block.
No, movement didn't warrant 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Let alone 5 weeks.
And like sports that don't have a national league, fuck them off.
Yeah, exactly.
We need more footballers.
Yeah, so skills, not exams, I think is what we can take from that.
yeah.
The second one's a bit of a pipe dream, but I'll cling on to it. Abolish private schools.
Right, yeah.
End the education apartheid in the UK.
Or you should have like, you should still have them, but like 20% of their rev has to go to the government or something.
So this, I think they are like, so because now private schools are getting a load of heat, Eton are starting to do this.
Yeah.
They're trying to up their charity work, to try and come across like they're kind of man of the people, philanthropists. Doesn't really wash, because like they're still pocketing a lot of coin. But they are, it's kind of like a, I don't know, like a hearts and minds operation, is it? Or at least like they've got to make their facilities accessible to less privileged kids.
Yeah, they should have like on weekends or something.
Yeah, it's like open gym or
to
something.
like the open gym, to like the surrounding community.
Sure, I mean, like not that the people of Windsor need it. They should bust them in from less privileged areas.
Yeah,
because the fucking people of fucking the royal family going to get?
Hamptons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's, I don't know. You probably couldn't abolish them, but it should be just more evenly spread in terms of, like, because we've been talking about the entire time is the fact that skills are what we need, and like we said about the public school thing is they get taught skills more, and so outside of the networking thing, like the who you know, not what you know, the ability to just teach kids in normal schools skills would bridge the gap anyway.
Yeah.
So there'd be less of a demand actually for.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen, which makes me very sad.
No, your little Marxist dream doesn't seem to come to fruition today.
My thirst for revolution's quite worrying.
Yeah, really, especially the amount of time you spent in France.
Cheese eating surrender monkey. Might join the French Foreign Legion.
Yeah, after the RAF Reg.
Yeah, is that a common career path normally trodden in the military?
Yeah.
RAF Reg then Foreign Legion.
Probably not. The RAF Reg can stand toe to toe, mate. So you don't need to go anywhere else.
I do hope we have a RAF Reg listener
RAF
who just
Reg
cries at the end of every episode.
RAF Reg mud guards on. That's what we call them. Anyway.
So then what's it? Basically, like it's a pretty boring answer, but we need a massive overhaul of what kids are actually taught in school.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's what we've been through, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
But it's, hopefully you agree. But if you think of any if you've got any questions or any inputs about maybe your own experience in the education system or otherwise, then put them below.
So like me and you have a very narrow kind of perspective on education because we went to the same school at the same time. So if there are any listeners out there who are like younger or older, or who were privately educated or kind of went to a kind of less affluent school, let us know. I'll be interested to know how you got on.
That's true. Yeah, I'm sure it's different for everyone.
Because we've obviously got a very biased view. We're basically just soundboarding off each other because we had exactly the same school experience, effectively.
Yeah, in the same form.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. So if you have got anything outstanding, then bang it in the comments. We'll go through the final segments, shall we?
Yeah. So we've got underrated, overrated.
It's either underrated...
You've charmed me.
...or it's overrated.
Well, that was fucking dreadful.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, or shall I?
Ooh. You go first.
Okay, so this is a bit of a funny underrated, overrated, but it is topical. So, the XL Bully ban.
Oh, yeah, we're a bit late to this one.
Yeah, we are a bit late to the
We
party.
should have covered it last week.
But I thought we'd cover it.
Underrated or overrated? The forced culling of XL Bullies.
Well, you know what I mean? Are you in favour or are you not?
Oh, right, okay, so we've rejigged it slightly.
Yeah. So, underrated, overrated.
The killing of family pets is massively underrated. No, they're not. At one point, I thought that they were going to like force like a...
Stop in that force put down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for anyone who's not in the know, lives under a rock, basically a specific breed of bulldog is being kind of banned effectively. They're trying to muzzle them and sedate them a little bit.
They're going to have to... They'll be muzzled in public and they're going to have to get them neutered, I think.
Yeah, because there was loads of, or a few spates of fatal attacks by these dogs, which is obviously mental.
So I don't know. So I obviously followed it in the news a bit to the extent that my interest would allow. But I've never actually come across an XL Bully, I don't think.
No, I think I might have done once, but they look very similar to Rottweilers, so it's difficult to tell.
I'll be honest, I'm not keen on that breed of dog, like aesthetically.
No.
It's certainly not a dog that I would own.
I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't get one because yeah, like you say, aesthetically and temperamentally, I wouldn't.
But I don't know how
align with
naturally
that.
aggressive are they, and how much is it just like media hysteria?
Okay,
is it
so-
more about training than it is the actual
So they're
temperament
really
of the dog?
protective of their owners. So, or their masters. So if you're their owner and you're not in full control, because they'll be really protective of you. If someone comes, or if another dog or another human like tries to be a little bit aggressive towards you, or maybe they interpret it that way, then they can fucking run amok basically. And they're so strong and aggressive if they want to be, all the rest of it. Then there's really no controlling them past a certain point. Like if that 60 kilo bastard pulls on the lead, you have to be a bit pretty strong to cull it, don't you?
Yeah, see, that's an issue because you can be the most alpha bloke in the world, you'll never fully be in control.
Of one of them.
Well, from a dog's perspective anyway, because say if you're on a walk and out of nowhere a cyclist just comes past someone, like they could perceive that to be like your master, like my master's under attack.
Yeah.
So they then lurch for a cyclist.
And if you're not, even if you are expecting it, but if you're not, and they pull and they're 60 kilos,
And he then attaches himself to the calf of a cyclist and doesn't let go. And
seen it.
Cyclist now got like a 60 kilo dog just hanging from his leg.
yeah,
That's not going to end well, is it?
not for anyone apart from the dog. Dog's probably alright, yeah. But until he gets put down. But no, I think that's the main issue, that inherently, naturally, they're really protective. Obviously, have the capacity to be extremely dangerous when they want to be. So if they're not trained properly, or if they're trained in a way where they're used as an aggressive weapon, which they are as well at some points, like gang members have them and use them as like a big status symbol, which is just horrendous. Because if you're walking your dog and you see that, mate, like a big salivating 60 kilo fucking muscle bound dog, it's like
That's an issue as well, though, with the kind of like gang ownership as well, because then like the breeding goes underground, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not even responsible breeding then.
You probably like injected with test, all sorts.
Fucking hell,
Mate,
an
imagine
XL Bully on
Like,
test.
you would though. Dog on heat, like literally.
Quite literally.
Like, if you were wanting to make a dog the most, like, successful weapon it could be, you could do that if you want. You
That's
could
mad.
you could bioengineer this dog to be like fucking
Wham.
mad.
Like the,
But
like the
you'd have to be-
canine equivalent of Bane.
You have to be brave, because if it turned on you, you'd be fucked, mate.
Yeah, you put it in, what you do, you put it in a cage, right? You'd inject it with text.
Some cage that.
And then you'd like indoctrinate it with like, I don't know, photos of other gang members, so he gets like, he gets eyes on. So he knows he knows the target. And then what you do is you flick his bollocks just to like really rile him up. And then you capture this gang member and you just let him at him.
Honestly though, like some of the videos of them going at people, it's so
Oh, it's
scary.
horrific, isn't it? I know, you
crazy,
shouldn't really
isn't it?
joke about it because people have actually fucking died from being attacked, especially
No.
kids.
I know, but like I say, it's a bit of it's a sensitive issue, because there are XL Bully owners that their bulldogs is a complete sweetheart and they wouldn't do anything. So it's one of them that you're walking at. We do have to walk at the slowest person's pace, though, don't we, in society? So
Well, that's what these kind of XL Bully owners are learning, aren't they? Unfortunately, there are a lot of irresponsible dog owners out there.
well, it's just like Jim Jeffrey says this, right? So this is quoted. He takes drugs like a champion, right?
That's
So
a good
when he-
sketch, that is.
Yeah, so when he takes loads and loads of fucking heroin, for example, he's sound, mate, the next day. He's not addicted, he's good to go. Whereas, when little fucking Timmy down the road gets addicted and fucking dies from heroin addicts, then he gets banned.
He paints heroin in a bad light.
Yeah. Heroin's great for Jim Jeffrey.
But it's not great for everyone.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story.
So, but your XL Boy might be great for you, but it's not great for the Liverpool gang member who's letting it loose on Dave down the road.
Yeah, it's not good for the mailman who he attacks.
Yeah, imagine that, mate. You get like your fucking hand bitten off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I stand on this though, because I still don't really know enough about it. But given that like they're not really my kind of dog anyway, so if it now means that I'm going to see less of them, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, we know your stance on dogs. I know it's pretty much golden retrievers or cockapoos.
It's weird because I'm quite progressive. I'm quite a forward-thinking person in many regards. But when it comes to like dogs that I would kind of like own as a pet. I'm very like Tory.
Yeah, you are.
I'm like I want
You only
like
ever own like public school dogs.
yeah, like literally like you said, like a Labrador, a Golden Retriever, or a Cockapoo.
Yeah, I just love dogs, mate. Any of them are fucking so.
I've seen you go.
We don't deserve dogs, mate. On a serious note.
Morning fours.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're fantastic. Yeah, I wouldn't have a XL Bully, I don't think, or a Rottweiler. They're a bit.
You want fucking German Shepherd now? You got it in your head because you've seen it on Joe Rogan.
No, well, yeah, they are. But there's puppies, right? They're super cute puppies.
All puppies are cute.
Yeah.
XL Bully puppies are
They
cute,
are,
and then they
to be
turn into fucking test heads.
Yeah, but well, right, I'm getting into it. So they're cute as puppies, and then they're loyal and intelligent as dogs.
To be fair, there is obviously a reason why like fucking special forces use them
They're fucking so intelligent.
because they are very intelligent.
And they can be really obedient, and they're active, which is everything I need from a dog.
Yeah, you don't
Ticks
see
all the boxes.
you don't see fucking cockapoos on Spec Ops, do you?
Sniff a dog.
licking the terrorist to death
Sniff a dog comes out, it's fucking cockapoo. with a groomed.
with the dicky bow on. Little fucking
Little chihuahua.
yeah. Harness it says "good boy" on it.
That'd be yours. Good boy. Yeah, so, I don't know. Not really come to a conclusion, but thought we should talk about it because it's a big story in the moment in the news.
Well, they're not going to die, so it could be worse.
That's true. At least
They're just going to walk around with no fucking bollocks.
Just- I every time I see a dog in public now, because my TikTok view page was like inundated with XL Bully content for a bit. Every time I now see a good boy in the street, and it's like nice to me, it's got nice temperament, it reaffirms my faith in humanity. It's great.
Good.
Yeah, I would like one of James Smith's dogs. What's that? A Kelpie.
It's a cross, isn't it?
Yeah, they're cute as fuck, but he looks like a nightmare. These dogs.
He's like ADD dog, isn't he?
Trust.
He's like you as a dog.
Yeah, fucking 8 walks a day. Anyway, go on.
Right, my underrated, overrated is British festivals,
Ooh,
as in music festivals.
nice. Okay, what's your stance?
I fucking love festivals.
So you think they're underrated? Do you think they're rated?
No, I think they're increasing. So like obviously when you're younger, everyone goes through like the festival kind of phase
Yeah.
where you go to, but then you kind of like people get a bit snobby towards festivals
Because they're out in the sticks.
because people feel like they're better than tents effectively.
Yeah.
But like I don't think you should ever grow out of festivals
I agree.
because they're super.
Glastonbury looked amazing this year.
That's what I mean. So obviously, like as you get older, you
yeah.
go to different types of
This is it.
festivals, but you should never stop going to festivals.
No, you're right. So the nail on the head there. So like, effectively, at a certain age, Creamfields is good, and at a certain age, like Reading Fest, and then all the rest of it, and you start to evolve through your festival going career until you're at Glastonbury and you kind of mature. Then you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So depending on like the lineup, effectively, and what you're kind of into, would depend on how old you have to be to go to a certain festival. But I think you're right. You never fully grow out of them. I think there's always time for a festival.
I had some great memories at festivals.
Yeah, they're class. Boomtown was phenomenal, mate.
That was sensational. Like
Yeah. The first
unrepeatable
weekend.
things happened on that weekend.
Yeah, well, yeah. The first time, me and Eddie have been to Boomtown twice. The first time was like, was it your first festival? Mine was. It was mine.
No, because I did like 3 that summer.
Oh, did you? Okay.
So it was like my 3rd festival, but like 6 months prior, I hadn't been to any.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Oh, so you've done like a...
So I basically just done a summer of
Stopgap
festivals. Yeah.
Yeah. That was my first festival. It was class, though. It was such a weird experience. Boomtown's so different to any other festival as well, because it's literally a town.
Well, it's
that
shit.
gets
It's shit now though. We need to cover this actually.
Yeah.
Because it's a real bugbear of mine. Like Boomtown's downfall. Because when we went, it was mint. It was like the heyday of Boomtown. So like there was
So good.
it was literally like they would fully erect like a town.
village.
So like, there's buildings and everything. It's not like
You can actually go and watch it. Go and watch 2015 Boomtown after video on YouTube. It's like, it's meant, it does a good job of like depicting. I'll watch it later because it's sick.
But like they literally hire actors to like method act people for the entire weekend.
So there's like the Wild West area. Which is like a section of the town. There's like the Mayfair, which is like a rich bit, and all of these things have like themes. So the Wild West bit, everyone's dressed as cowboys, and then there's like shutter doors and the rest of it. And then on the Mayfair thing, they're throwing money at you, and everyone's like the actors are all in suits and they're bankers or whatever.
It's so classic. If you're walking around 4 cans of red KD and you suddenly have an interaction with a cowboy,
you don't know what the fuck's
you
going
don't know
on.
what the fuck's going on, but it's good.
It's class. And that was the first time. The second time I went was a little bit worse just because of the lineup, I think.
And the weather was not as good. So like that year, like literally the stars aligned because the weather was amazing.
Yeah, for us, but I mean, there was a mass fire, so...
Was there?
Yeah.
Oh, did all the cars burn?
82 cars burnt down.
That's why you get the coach. No, it was a superb weekend though. I said that the stars lined because the weather was amazing.
We were headlined.
We were still young, so we were like naive. We didn't really know what we were getting into, but in a good way because everything was then a positive.
Yeah.
Because we went with no expectations because it was so good. It turned out even better than we could have imagined, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And then Madness headlined it, and then it was just...
Yeah, the lineup was good, because obviously then, before it went like proper EDM, they'd cater for everyone. So if you had an eclectic taste in music like we did, there was...
You kind of pop between stands, couldn't
you?
There was always have something.
There was a genre, that every genre was represented, so you never got fed up of anything.
Yeah, that was sick, man. Why has it got so bad now? I think they went through a... So
COVID finished off a lot of festivals. That's the obvious.
Yeah, one of my clients ran Solihull Summerfest, and he's good mates with the person who runs Boomtown. He said COVID fucked him up real bad because I think it took out a whole year or 2 years. Was it 2 festivals? Yeah, so that's fucking terrible for business, that, isn't it? So I think they almost went under. So they're probably building back up now.
It's like all live entertainment though. It just got fully shafted by COVID, didn't it?
Yeah, which is
but
a shame. It's coming back now.
Yeah, because like now, Boomtown's like half the size. They only open up one section, which is a shame.
Yeah, but I reckon they'll build on that, surely.
Let's bring back Boomtown bigger.
Yeah, vote below for a...
Start a petition. Free the Boomtown massive.
Yeah, anyway. So I think you're right. I think they are fairly rated, but I do think people don't...
It's when people get older, then they think that they're too good for festivals. That's my issue, I think. You're never too good for a festival.
No, and if you've got loads of money and you think you are past camping, you can fucking get one of them Gucci glamping things.
That's the class thing about festivals now. It caters. You don't have to do
levels.
You don't have to do the shit fucking piss wet field.
Yeah,
you can do glamping, like you said.
There are tiers to this. It's great. Yeah, so I think that's a good shout. They are. You never grow out of a festival. Take home message for today. Bit rogue for a education episode, but anyway. So that is final section. Reason to be cheerful.
Reasons to be cheerful.
This is.
We gotta contextualise this because I'm not gonna lie. We tried to find something in the news that was positive, and we were struggling, weren't we? Because this is the week that Rishi Sunak's gone back on all of his green pledges.
Full retard on drilling.
There was a school bus crash.
Yeah.
On the motorway that killed a few people.
50 people involved. Or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. That.
And Liverpool got robbed by VAR.
Yeah, so not a lot.
She's not been a great week, Freddie.
Yeah, so we were scrambling a little bit. I mean, you were heavily involved in the first two. We've settled on one that we did mention it a few episodes ago.
It's a cop out, really. Isn't
would
it,
potentially be the case. No, it's still a reason to be cheerful for me anyway. I mean, if no one else agrees.
There's a recurring theme coming with these reasons to be cheerful. They're increasingly reasons for you to be cheerful, not the actual listeners.
True. Yeah. Well, are we going to say what it is?
Yeah. We've got it now. We've teed it up.
Yeah. So it's now the fact that I'm into rugby, as we spoke about earlier on in the episode. I can now get on board with a lot of what rugby stands for, which I couldn't say for years past, to be honest.
No, you used to be very staunchly anti-rugby.
I used to be very anti-rugby, and it was purely ignorance, to be honest. I'd never sat and watched a game or played a game.
But this ties into what we were saying earlier about football and how frustrating it is to watch now. I think with football the way that it is, rugby now stands out like a beacon of hope.
Yeah, because when I watch rugby, I see so many things that are absent in football that I would like to see in football, that I just see in rugby happen because the game almost forces it to happen. So things
So
like
let's talk about that.
So things like the teamwork aspect, for example. So I've said this a lot of times to you, where I don't feel like you can just you have one player. You can have a player who runs away with it a little bit in rugby, but I don't think if one player is maybe off the pace in rugby, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Because everyone in, like, when you're rucking or when you got a tackle goes in, everyone's got to be good to go to get involved. If one person's just rapping, then the team's fucked.
Yeah, so like a missed tackle in rugby, say,
yeah.
like then you've given away a try, really. Haven't
Yeah,
you?
exactly.
Or like
eight points.
Equally with a scrum, say, if one person's not on the boil,
Yeah.
you've given away a penalty.
Exactly, and the way it goes, like if you've just got one star player in football, that player can carry the team. Like Ronaldo did it for years, Messi did it for years. One star player in rugby, because there's 15 of them,
It's hard.
it's so much harder for them to stand out, which makes the game so much more balanced. And means that, and I always think, what the fuck can't they pass forward? It's so stupid. But obviously, it's just a constraint they have to put on because it'd be too easy.
I think I think the values of rugby as well, like kind of
100%.
integrity, respect. So like the idea that there's no hoodwinking the ref in rugby. You call him sir. You know, if you've done something that he doesn't spot, you'll own up to it.
He's mic'd
You
up
will
as well,
actually
which
no,
is
I didn't ground that ref. You know, that's not a
Yeah,
try.
that's
Do you know what I
nice.
mean?
That would never happen in football. Like
No.
in football, you kick it off someone, and then you go, yeah, mine. I've done it. I always used to do it. Like you claim for a ball, you know, 100% isn't yours, and the ref might give you, yeah, yes, sweet.
Or the fact that like you'll be squaring up to each other on the pitch.
Yeah,
But
kicking
then
10 bells out of each other.
But then at the end of the game, you clap each other off, and then you go for a beer afterwards.
And it now makes sense, really, to me, why so many people in the core that I came across, who were high level rugby or like, semi-pro rugby players, before they joined, had like really good values, really good ethos, fucking beasts in terms of physical attributes. Now that makes sense because the game of rugby just encourages all of that, and it means that when you go into a place, certainly like the Marines, it fits because it's just like the same culture go again, and so.
There's such a big overlap actually between like the military and rugby, isn't there?
Yeah,
Like, there's a big history there.
Yeah, especially I think the Marines. If you're like higher level rugby and you go higher level military, effectively like elite forces and stuff, I think there's a massive, because a lot of people who go for the Marines are between like semi-pro footballers who didn't quite make it and semi-pro rugby players. Disproportionately, the rugby players make it, and physically there's similar standards,
Yeah.
but it's just different kind of phys that you do when you're a rugby player.
A lot of the ex like SF lads, like Jason Fox and all that, they're all very pally with like ex rugby players because I think there's that like mutual respect between them.
Yeah, because they kick the shit out of each other on a rugby play.
Well, this is that value system again. They share very different. I mean, very similar values. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing with that, I think, is just the fact that I can't remember what I was going to say.
That's good.
I forgot.
So what's the take-home message from that? Give rugby a try if you haven't already.
A try.
Mean that.
Yeah, rugby. I think if you hate it like I used to for no reason, then give it a go. It's good. It's a good watch.
Fundamentally, right, I think people that say they don't like rugby just haven't given it a fair try yet.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I was going to say. The rugby into CrossFit. So I always used to look at people who had like started CrossFit and gone straight to like top in the country. In that, like 100% of the time, they'd be ex-rugby players because their standard of phys is just fucking unbelievable.
What?
I played football for years, mate. I'm a sack.
Top rugby players, like massively undervalued athletes, rugby players
it's
are.
mental, mate.
They go under the radar because you've got to be good at everything.
Yeah, because then when they go on and go, so rugby don't work out or whatever, but then they go to CrossFit and they're on a row machine. They're like, fucking, let's go. Like it's easy, innit? So it's transferable as well. If you're a kid and you haven't got into a sport yet, rugby's probably a good one.
But yeah, I think we've gobbed off for long enough. I
Yes,
think we'll leave it there.
I believe so. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that episode of Below the Bar.
I'll just say, let us know your schooling experiences and how you would change the curriculum, because I would be interested to know.
Yes, indeed. And we'll see you. Is it Q&A next?
Q&A next, yeah, and then we've got to trick up our sleeve for the episode after that.
Yes.
I won't give that away yet.
Don't really reveal that quite yet. But yeah, thanks for listening. See you next time.